So, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Nariman. I'm Black Pearl section editor. Black Pearls is a permanent project within Levant X magazine that aims at that basically aim to highlight the heritage of Black and African descendant people in the Savannah region. Today, I'm very happy to actually interview a YouTuber. I've basically came across his channel by coincidence when I was doing a bit of a research.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would like you to introduce yourself and then we can take it from there.
Oh, okay. How do I introduce myself? I'm not used to that kind of introduction, actually. Yeah, that's the well. I am from. My name is Sid Sidibe. I go by Visual Poet on my YouTube channel, and I am originally from Cote d'Ivoire, which is called Ivory Coast, in West Africa. But the problem with that country, the name changes in every single languages. So you tell some people you're from Cote d'Ivoire, they don't know what you're talking about. They say, what, and you have to switch to whatever language they speak. So yeah, I am from Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, and I spent vast majority of my child adult life, some of them in the Mid East, and then moved to England to study, and then moved to US. So then I'm based here now. So I'm kind of like spent some time in France too, because as West African, we all have family in Paris anyway. So I went there, but I didn't like it. I moved to London and lived there for a long time, and then moved to US and did a lot of different studies, videography, photography. I'm trained photojournalist in London, but came to London, came to USA, start doing moving image, like a video production, film studies, and all like post production 9 yards. So that's my background, but yeah, I used to travel around the world and do still photo back in the day before YouTube came along, and did portraits around the world based on African origin, all over the world. So for years. So then when YouTube came along, I'm one of the last came into YouTube business. So I didn't want to join somehow. So for some reason I don't know, but so yeah, that's my background. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sid, I wanted to know, when did you start your YouTube channel? I'm gonna go back again to your
Mm,
to talk a bit about your background in the
yeah.
countries where
Yeah.
you grew up. But I
Yeah.
wanted to know, when did you start your YouTube channel?
Oh, okay. I started my YouTube channel. Now, I first started it, but I didn't feed it. I didn't put anything in it. I just, one day I was thinking, somebody told me, why don't you do the YouTube channel? Because you got a lot of material too. I said, I don't know. I wasn't into it. But I started as today, maybe 7 years ago now. But I've never, within the last first four years, I didn't put anything in it except from some kind of little thing here and there. And back then, since I was a videographer around the neighborhood where I live, in Los Angeles, and I hooked up with some Hare Krishna's group. So they used to take me to do the video for them. Then I start posting the video. That's why I started doing, when I said, oh, it's getting a lot of attraction from a Hare Krishna's group. So then I say, hey, wow, so then I start doing a different project. And after that, I start going to India for same my African origin project. So that's how I started. But I was very slow posting anything. Honestly, I was not a kind of YouTube mind guy who always pound stuff. No, 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 no. For me, I waited. If I have something interesting, I do that and post it and wait. For sometimes I go whole year, I post only 2 videos or one sometimes,
Mhm.
until lately I start to do like every now and then,
And a
uh,
lot of the recent videos that you have, or that I found personally, related to basically highlighting or visiting different Black communities
yes.
in different countries. So I wanted to know, how did your journey start? Like, why did you, was there like a specific reason why you wanted to highlight or, yeah, stories from those communities?
Okay, first of all, for the Black community, really, since I was a child, because I lived in Saudi Arabia as a child, so you kind of like you are an African, you're in a completely different country. So you kind of stand out. You have your own community, you know, and so I've also your surrounding looks different from you. So as a child, it stuck to your brain, you know, how you live within your family or within your friends. But then when I left, you know, I came to England. I was studying similar things. You see a lot of black community in England too, have their own community within it, and sometimes it's completely different from whatever the country is. So they live within their own surrounding, even though most of them were born there, but they have their own unique special community within it. And then I came to US now. So then I said, well, similar thing, but then you have a vast in US. You have from Canada all the way to Argentina. Every single country have a black community, the natives, the immigrant, the everything. So then I start, you know what, I'm gonna document those kind of life, you know. See, mostly then it was I was a photographer. As I said earlier, I was trained photojournalist in London. So I started doing a still photography to go to villages. Every single black town, that's where I first started. Every single black town in Americas, from Mexico to Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, Puerto Rico, no, Costa Rica, all this, Panama, all the way to Colombia, I mean, all the way to Argentina. I went to every single town where there's a black villages to take portraits, just, you know, talk to them, take portrait. But then, you know, uh, there's no publication, there's nothing, there's no exposure, but that's what I was fascinated about, how the black community, African origin, lives in different parts of the world. So, but then now it branched out to India and to Middle East. Yeah.
What was the first country that you visited where you actually had visual documentation, like video, took a video of their life?
Okay, first of all, I went to all Asia country, like name it, Vietnam, Cambodia, and everything. But first documentation of a black village community was in India, actually. And I went to different part of India. You know, I started in the south called Karnataka. That's what was my first video. Because when I first started shooting video, I didn't want to be on a camera. I just want to film it without being on a camera. But I found out later on it was not interesting, you know, for you like for me personally to run a video without being on a camera, because it looks like BBC can do that better than me, because they
Yeah.
they kind of like a narration and all 9-yard documentary style. They do that better than me. So for me, I said, you know what, I'm gonna combine it, because I studied like at school when I was doing, we studied like a documentary style of recording. So now that's what I try to combine. Do a vlog at the same time, do the documentary style and do narration on it. So first thing that I did, I studied it in India when I went to these city villages. So the village, my first village in India is in the south, is called Yellapur. That's where I started. You know, so then that's maybe you saw that video there. That was my first. Yeah. Apart
Yeah.
from India, I've been to most
Yeah.
of the South, say Asian country. Yeah.
Where else did you travel to document African descendant people and communities?
In India, okay.
No, like in general, where else did you travel out, like aside from India?
Yeah, what I did is I did all in India series on India, but then after that I went to Palestine, did all the series on Afro-Palestinian, but then my last one was about in Saudi Arabia. So I went to Saudi Arabia, but my plan was from Saudi Arabia to go to Jordan, from Jordan to Turkey, and from Turkey now. So I want to see if I could go to Iran. But then when I was in Saudi Arabia in the middle of a recording, the COVID hit. So I was trying to run out. You know, I got stuck at the border town in Tabuk. I got stuck there for almost 3-4 weeks. Then because all the border was shut down. So then now all my plan just canceled. I had to come back to Jeddah, sit there for a couple of months. So then evacuated back to US. But
it's such an
it was
unfortunate
very
thing,
unfortunate,
to
particularly
happen.
for me. And it wasted a lot of money, wasted a lot of planning. Everything's gone to waste because in the beginning, I didn't take a COVID seriously. I thought, oh well, maybe in 1 week, 2 weeks it's gonna go, but things getting worse and worse and worse. In Saudi Arabia too, the law is very strict. If they said you cannot move, trust me, you cannot move. So I said, okay, you know what? Here you cannot play with the rule. You gotta follow or you don't. So I tried to find a way to get out. By the time I was getting out, it was 24 hours curfew. I said, okay, that's it. And actually, a friend of mine, we used to communicate. He the one advised me. He said, man, you don't know how long this COVID, if you sit in Saudi Arabia waiting that, oh, you're going to pass, you're going to be there for 2 years maybe, because nobody knows. So that really, I said, you know what, he might be right. So then I decided that to take off.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, while you were traveling and documenting the life of those communities, what was the response? How was the response from those communities? Were they welcoming, open, or did you find like some resistance?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, the Indian community, they were the most welcoming ever. Literally, the African Indian community. Oh my God. Literally, for all the, except because they have three different communities. The southern Karnataka community was the ultimate, the best, which is because they go according to religion actually. The southern, there are Hindus, 95%, okay, let's say 70% are Hindus. I'm talking about Black community now. I'm not talking about whole India.
Yes.
But I'm talking about
yes,
the African Indian community in Karnataka. 70% or 80% are Hindus. And about 15% or maybe 15% are Christian. 5% are Muslims. Forget about the Muslim community. You're never gonna get in. They completely closed. It's almost impossible to open up for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I try everything. Literally, it comes to the teaching, of whoever is teaching them Islamic religion. They'll tell them color doesn't matter. We're all Indian here because they've been taught by those Indian group, right? But then, and I talked to my friends who are Hindus. They said even with them, within themselves, the CDs is almost impossible to crack them. Those are the same people, but the minute they become Muslim, they make sure they cut them off. They cut them off from their own.
So they're isolated.
They isolated them because they said color doesn't matter. You're not black. You're nothing. You're Muslim. That's what they teach them. So for me, it was a very problematic. I tried to crack. It was almost. You try to talk to them, the answer is yes or no, and that's it. It's not gonna go any further. You're not gonna be invited to any place, and wherever you meet them, it's gonna be your conversation is not gonna go even more than 3 minutes. Period. But with the Hindus community, oh my God, they will take you everywhere. You go to the houses, you go to your community, they organize, they do everything with you. Same Christian community, same thing. And the Christian community, now I'm talking about Karnataka specifically, the Christian community over there intermingle with the Hindus community. The marriage, you see the family are split in between. So one of the Christians married to Hindu, the Hindus married to Christian, not the Muslim community. They are completely cut off from those two groups, although they're all Indian. So then some of the leaders now are trying to break that barrier. He said, look, dude, you cannot do that. We are all cities here. We are fighting against the same problem you guys are doing. So we have to make sure we create same community. We are all cities. So then we try to fight the same thing. And they created like three leaders. One is Hindus, one is Christian, the other one is Muslim. But those are young generation. They started not too long ago. So they're trying to bridge those.
The gap, yeah.
Yeah, but then I go to Gujarat, 95% Muslim.
Yeah, sorry, can I ask you something before we move to the next part? So with the Muslim community, you say color doesn't matter. Does that mean they mix or they mix with Indians from different colors, or do you mean they're all black but they just isolate themselves? So just to clarify that part.
Okay, because for me, I didn't even get to talk to them to get that difference from them. But anytime I see them with the Indian group. Vast majority they're not even with Sid's group. The
So they're
black,
not with the Sid, the black. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
yeah,
Yes.
the black Sid, the African Sidis Muslim group. They are
Mm-hmm.
in. They have their own community. They have their own villages. They
Mm-hmm.
don't mix in with the other villages. You see,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you go to Hindus villages, they mix between Christian and Hindus, but the Muslim villages have their own villages, and all the teachers are Hindus, Indian actually. All
Yeah.
the teachers who are teaching in Islam, the imams, because they don't have any black imam from their own community, they don't have that.
Ah.
So they
Okay.
taught by the Indian Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that teaching can be problematic. That's for
Yeah.
sure, because you're living in India. If you're
Yeah.
telling me your color doesn't matter, is a problem right there. Of course it does matter.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I try everything. I could not crack them, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Even one time I was in the marketplace, I met this black guy. Oh my God, I swear to God, I thought he was from my village in Africa. Literally, I could
Mm.
not have, I said, okay, I know there's a black city, but these guys are African. That's for sure. And I said, brother, hey, how are you? Uh, 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 are you a CD? He said, no. I said, oh, okay, now I'm excited. I said, okay, you're going to tell me he's from West Africa or somewhere. I said, oh, where you from there? He said, no, I'm Indian. I'm from here. I'm not CD, but I am Indian. I said, well, I know that, but what do you mean you know CD? He said, no, I'm a Muslim. I said, oh, come on. I said, I know, of course. If you're Muslim, it doesn't make you know CD, because the history goes back in the day, CD was an abusive word. You see, calling them CDs was a negative connotation. So that's why the teaching of Muslim community are telling them, CDs. It's like you telling some black, black, but you're Muslim. It doesn't make sense. So I find that is very problematic, because of course you're a CD. It doesn't, you're Indian, of course, but you're a CD. CD refer to a black African in India. That's what it is. So to come back to your question is, I didn't even get to know them to ask them that kind of a different what is it? I didn't get a chance. So, but I'm talking to them now. Next time I go, hopefully, we try to find some Muslim community that I can go in and just try to interview them. Even with that, they don't want a camera. That's not surprising to me anyway, because most of Islamic teaching, they don't want you to be open up with the camera at all. I've been there. I know exactly what they're. So, but then I go to Gujarat, which is 90%, 95% Muslim, no problem. You see, it shifts. Over there, the Muslim, because they are the minority in Karnataka, they're completely isolated. But you go to Gujarat, they are 95% majority, no problem. It's like any open society. They're very well educated, much more integrated in the society, more than the cities in the south. That really blew my mind. They all this, and also they don't know of each other. No, they don't know of each other.
Wow.
Yeah. The cities in Gujarat, they know like less than 1% of each other. But then I go to Hyderabad, which is I can say all of them are Muslim. They are completely against any kind of interview. I had the
Mm.
worst time over there than anywhere else among the city community in India. Literally, I go there, they were unwelcoming,
Mm.
because I don't know for what reason. And one of the guy, it took me 3 days to convince him. I have on my video that chapter.
Mm.
It took me almost 3 days to convince him to talk to me. When he talked to me, our connection was he lived in Saudi Arabia for 20 years, the city guy.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So I said to him, I grew up in Saudi Arabia. So then that was our connection. So he opened up a little bit for me, with
Yeah.
me. So then he didn't speak English, and I don't speak Hindi. So all our conversation was in Arabic. So that was fascinating for him. But even that, it took him 3 days to get to me, because he said, why am I recording? What's the point of that? I say, it's the exposure. So he said, the thing is, he has a point too. He said to me, he sees a lot of reporter coming in here. to interview them, because the city in Hyderabad is a completely different group of cities too. There were African soldiers brought to India as a mercenaries. You see, it's completely different. Yeah, it's completely different than the city in the south, which was a slave to Portuguese in Karnataka. But then the different than the city in Gujarat, who were, some of them were part of a slave for Arab trades, but some of them was a merchant. That's in the Gujarat group. So it's a mixture of everything. But the city in Hyderabad, they were completely soldiers. They came as a upper middle class because they were general and warriors to protect Indian kings from other Indian tribal war. So they were the protector of Indian kings back in the day. So the king, they call it Nizam, give them land around the palace. So they lived in downtown of Hyderabad. So they became an upper class, But now, since they were with a lot of other soldiers from Yemen, particularly Arab groups, the interior mixed with them. So vast majority of them just got fade away, literally. So, okay, the nickname is CDs. Some of them, if you take the CD nickname off, like a last name off, so you never know that they even African origin, because they look like more Arabs. If they look like a more African, they look like a very mixture of 3, 4, 5 generation of a mixture of, not like in the south in Karnataka, so not like the south of CDs in Karnataka who were completely isolated. They look more like an Arab mixture, and vast majority of them will tell you they're not even African origin. They will tell you they're from Yemen, although because for them referring to Africa is a shameful thing. So they will tell you, oh, we are Yemenis.
How do you do your research and connect with these different communities? Because obviously, do you ask for help? Do you have friends, or do you just go blindly and then try to build some connection?
I do both. I do all three. But I do all three. When I'm in the village now, first of all, I'm looking for a village. I'm asking around. Like for instance, one of the example, when I went to Peru, and I know there's a Black community in Peru, but I don't know where they are. So I went to Lima, walking around, anybody I see Black, I would ask them, and they were very reserved. Well, one day I was playing a pool in a bar with somebody, I casually, is a Peruvian guy, casually asked him, oh, I'm here, do you know any Black community? He said, oh, yeah, we have that. I said, what? He said, oh, he's not in here, but he told me he's about 6, 7 hours away. It's called Chincha. I said, that's the first time I got the name.
Yes.
Yeah. So the next day I said, where do I get a bus? I went to the bus station. Even the bus station, they didn't want to sell me the ticket. They said, where are you going there for? I said, I just want to go there. They said, well, it's not a tourist place. I said, what? The Black people? He said, yeah, but the poor, the poverty. I said, no, I don't care about that. As long as it's a Black village, that's what I want to go. So I didn't know no one. I literally went in, but there was no video time. That was way before YouTube time. I just had my camera with me. So I went to the village. The Chincha is a region, that's a main city. There's a tiny village called Carmen. That's where all it comes. When I went there, I thought I was in my village in Africa, honestly. So, but there's nothing. It's just a farm and a church. That's all they have. Church and a farm. So there's not even a hotel there. The nearest hotel is 2 hours away. So I check in the hotel and do the commute between the village and hotel. I did that for almost whole week. Yeah. So I do all. Sometimes I will get the connection before, but most of the time I go there without any connection. But then when you get there, of course, you will find somebody who you can talk to, and then he will give you a number for somebody else. Then I follow those straight until then. By the time you come back, you got 24 numbers, But then you go to the Mid East, to Palestine, where I started. That was very tough one. Very, very tough.
Yeah. I was just about to move actually to talk about Palestine and the Middle
Yeah,
East because I grew up in the Gulf. I lived in Saudi Arabia for a
yeah,
while,
yeah.
similar to you as well. Then moved to Emirates and lived in Qatar as well.
Okay.
Growing up, obviously, there was there is always a lot of news about Palestine and the issue,
Yeah,
obviously, between Palestine and Israel,
yeah,
etc.
yeah.
However, I've never really knew there was a Black community or African descended community in
In,
Palestine.
okay, okay.
And I grew up, and then obviously I started to watch like different videos on
Mm,
YouTube, and I came to
mm,
realize, okay, there are Black people in Palestine, but
mm.
I didn't really know much about them
Much
until
about
I
it.
saw your video.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
can you tell me, yeah, more about that trip and basically
Yeah,
how was it?
yeah. For Palestine person, I knew definitely there were Black people in Palestine because, from my own people, from West Africa, when they came to Mecca for pilgrimage, they always went to Palestine. That was a way, that was 1600. I mean, the time they start coming to Mecca, because in our mind, when you go to Mecca, you have to see Mecca, you have to see Medina, you have to see Jerusalem, which is Horus. So, and it's a title thing in Mecca, in our tradition. You go to Mecca, you go to Medina, well, yeah, okay, you have one title. But when you go to Qudus, that's like the highest level.
I
Yeah,
didn't
so
know that. Yeah.
yeah, I've known that since my dad came to Saudi Arabia when he was less than 18, maybe 17 years old. So he did the same route. They all do the same route. They come to
Mm,
Mecca, they go to Medina, they go to Jerusalem, they come back to Medina, they come to Mecca, they come to Jeddah or whatever. Some of them would stay in Mecca. Vast majority of them. My dad stayed there for 20 years, and then that was back in the 30s and the 40s. And then he
mhm,
went back home in the late early 50s. So but vast majority of his friends stay in Mecca. They became Black Saudis.
mm,
So and some of my uncle, one part of my family that we all lived in Saudi Arabia once in our lifetime. It doesn't matter who they were, but I had Dutch family up and down. So I had a lot of uncle, friends, relatives, all in Mecca. So I knew there's a lot of Black people in Jerusalem. That's for sure I know. But how am I gonna find them? Anyway, in this trip, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go to Jerusalem, dig them out. So and it wasn't easy. Literally, I got to Jerusalem and start asking people. I got to, because Jerusalem is divided into two. You have the West Jerusalem, which is completely Jewish, and you
mhm,
got the East Jerusalem, which is completely Arab. But then within the Arab community, you have this Black African quarter. So then I was there for 1 week. I mean, this place is not big, literally. It's not big at all. I don't know why it took me that long to find those people, but later on I found out it's embarrassing. This place is. I started walking around asking nobody knows about African place in I said that they have it here, that's for sure. They have an African place here, but I'm gonna and I walk around, I start seeing some Black kids. I would ask
mhm,
them. They will say, "Oh, go over there, go over there, go over there." But you ask the Arab, they don't have a clue
mm,
what is about. But at the same time, those Black community, they didn't go in the beginning. They didn't go out of their way to take me around and show me around what it. So then there's a one guy. He's in my video. I kept bumping onto him every single day because it's not a big place. You walk around, you see the same scene. I keep seeing him every day. The last time I said, you know what, you're not gonna leave until you take me to your because I'm leaving in a couple of days. I've been there for 10 days. Each
mhm.
time I see you, you're telling me, oh, come tomorrow, come tomorrow. Come. I said, no, 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 no. Today you're not leaving. Literally, I insisted that. So he said, okay, okay, come back in 3 hours. So then
Mhm.
when you look at my video, he took me to the office, the
Mhm.
office I went to. But
Yes.
I said, that office, I pass here 20 times a day, literally 20 times every day, because that office is in between the mosque and the marketplace. Literally, this is all the same circle. You got
Mm,
Jewish temple here, you got Christian church here, you got Muslim mosque over there. I mean, literally everybody is roaming within 4 blocks.
mhm.
Literally, I passed this office more than 100 times, but they never told me that was the African office ever. Okay, fast forward, when I went to the office, then they started opening up in the office. But then
Yes.
it was too late because I only had a few days. But the next day they invited me there because they had a community meeting.
Mhm.
All the leaders were there. At the same time, all those black kids I was seeing in the street, when I talked to them, they run away from me. They were all in the same hall. I mean, for me, in my mind, I could have done better in my video than what I had. Although people say the one you had is good, but it could have been better if those people had opened up to me. They didn't. They did it. It was very difficult, very, very difficult. But the minute I talked to them, they open up. But it was not like, oh, they see me with my camera. I want to talk to them. Oh, welcome, welcome. It was not that way. It was very difficult, you know. Yeah, but that's what I found out. The blacks in I can't say the black in all Arab countries. The black actually I can say that openly. The blacks in Arab countries are not as open because I don't know for what reason, because political repression, they can't say much. Although Israel will be different because the blacks are very, very, very actually open-minded, and they talk about politics system, providing is against the Israeli system, but they cannot talk about the issue within their own community because Islam kicks in. Islam, in their mind, there's no separation between black and white. That's what we've been taught all our life, you know. When you start talking to them, especially the blacks in Jerusalem, yes, they will say anything against Israel, the discrimination, the repression, everything. But when you start asking them, how about within the blacks and Arabs in that community, they will say it doesn't exist, which I found is not completely true, you know. But then you go to Saudi Arabia, it's almost impossible to talk about these kind of things, you know.
Yeah.
So they put the leads in whatever problem they have, it doesn't exist because Islam teaches us there's no discrimination in Islamic religion. I don't understand that kind of mindset. Yes, we're all Muslim, but if there's something discriminatory, I mean, the discrimination has been in that community from the inception of Islamic religion. It was there, you know, but they would tell you don't look at it, but it's there. It's a cultural, you know, whatever you do, you're gonna be as a black person, you're gonna be discriminated anyway. It doesn't matter what you do, you know. So we've seen that through our study in Islamic study all my life. It's there, but you cannot talk about it. They will tell you, when you talk about it too much, they will put you to hell. They will do anything to you. So they will say whatever they think, you know. It's a very problematic actually.
Yeah, it's something that I noticed as well while I was talking to different people. Criticizing certain behaviors are actually just like, you can't basically talk about it, which is very odd to me as well, because the idea is not, people, as you said, people think that they need to defend something.
Yes.
Or when you criticize them, they think that's an attack on them, while in reality, you're not attacking them like directly. You're attacking certain behaviors that have negative impact on a specific group of people. So that doesn't inherently means that you're a bad person or Islam is a bad religion
or something like that. That's why they always put you in hell. They burn you. They do everything. Oh, you know, Muslim, because Islam tell us this and this. I said that's Islam tell you, but how about the people behavior? It's completely different. You know, and I face a lot of discrimination in Arab countries. A lot of discrimination, different part, because I've been to every Arab countries, name it. You know, I've been to all of them. It's just started from Egypt all the Middle East, and from Cairo, from Egypt all the way to Mauritania. I've done all of those. Of course, it doesn't. If you're an African black, definitely you're gonna get one way or the other. It doesn't matter.
I wanted to ask you about the response that you get from people on your YouTube videos, because I see your videos as more educational. You're literally just going to those communities and basically highlighting their lives, daily activities, etc. But you still got negative responses to the point where you actually, I think you put out a video or two responding to some racist comments. So what's the general response to your videos, and how do you react to them? Do you respond to those racist like comments and etc.?
Oh no, yeah, definitely. I tell all YouTubers, if you don't like something in your channel, just respond to it. You know why? Because people, yeah. For me, the way I look at it, vast majority of YouTubers, they avoid confrontation because they don't want to lose subscribers. You know, for me, I look at otherwise. I look at differently. Whoever is negative, abusive to your channel, is not your subscriber. Trust me, he is not subscribing. He's just there to harass you. For me, I'm gonna if I know what I'm saying is correct. First of all, if I'm in doubt or something, I'm not gonna put it up, because as a YouTuber, you edit your video according troll in your mind. You're thinking, okay, the troll gonna be going crazy. So you edit your video according to that. So when I put my video out, I'm certainly sure that what is in it. So is you try to attack me, I'm gonna respond back. Vast majority of I communicate with my audience literally 70%. If I don't respond to anything, it's not like I didn't see. I see everything. I will make sure. Sometimes I ignore some people because I don't want to repeat myself, you know. But I respond to all these negative comments. I do. Some of them, particularly when I went to Jerusalem first, my first entrance in entering Jerusalem, they went crazy. Anything racial you try to attack in Arab community is a problem. They go crazy because they don't see it they see it as is against Islam, because they are always try to link it up together, which it drives me crazy. It's nothing to do with religion. It's a human behavior. For instance, when I said in my introduction in Jerusalem that when I was looking for a Black African quarter in Jerusalem, any Arab person I asked, they didn't have a clue. But when I start seeing the Black Palestinian, I ask them, they know exactly what it is, and they tell me where to go. I said, but I thought to myself, why is that? Now it clicked, because in Islamic religion, they tell you there's no racial differences. So for them, calling their quarter the African quarter in Jerusalem is something is doesn't make sense. They're trying to distance themselves from that kind of racial naming. They have 20 names, something like Majalis, something this, something that. I said, I don't care about that. But the only thing I know, the minute I asked the Black Palestinian where the African quarter, they took me exactly to the quarter. Even in the entrance of the office, they have an African map on it, pointing, they're proud of it. But why is it the Arabic 2 doors down the road, they don't have a clue? They know, they're not gonna tell you. So they're calling me racist. Those negative, to be honest, vast majority of people who are in my channel, some of them really love it, I point out. But the small people who are attacking me, literally, first of all, they didn't face it. They don't even know what it is. But then because I said that, because of the name of Black is an insult in the Arab community, which is true. You can't, some people completely disagree with me about that, which I stood my ground. If you're called Black in Arab country, it doesn't matter who you are, it's an insult, it's an abusive word. To distance them from that, they call it Samra. They call it Samara. You calling me Samara. I mean, for me, Samra, yeah, you can call it, but why not calling somebody Aswad? You call him Abu Samra or Samra, because he's telling me because Black is better. Don't call you Black, but call you Samra. Come on, that's mean Black is not good, right? They don't understand that. They say, oh, no, because Samra is beautiful. That's what I said. Well, how about Black is? You see, so they're saying something they don't even consciously, they don't even know what it is. So that's what I said, and they went crazy on that.
Yeah, it's interesting that. Yeah, it's interesting that you said that they're trying to distance themselves from anything that will indicate racial or racist names. But in the Quran itself, it says we made you tribes and nations to know each other.
That's exactly what I tell them. Exactly what I tell them. But they completely ignore that, though. Now for me, it's like they're in a defensive mode when you're trying to point these things out. Because I don't think they know it. They go through it, and even subconsciously they don't. Okay, one of the guy told me, "Oh, he's a Palestinian guy." He was so shocked that he caught himself from his own racial subconscious. He said, "No, we don't call Black, but we call them filthy head." I said, "What?"
Oh my God.
I said, Habibi.
I would rather be called Black.
You running away from one and calling me something even worse. He said,
Filfil head.
you said he literally, I mean, he was good because he kept answering. He said, "Oh, my friend, oh, you know what? I'm really sorry I didn't know much because I'm getting it from my uncle." I said, "Okay, tell him to never use that."
Yeah.
You're calling me faithful head. Come on.
What is like some of the common things that you've noticed while you travel and while you visited those different communities in different countries? Were there anything that you noticed are common between them or in like major differences?
You mean in the black community?
Yes, in the Black communities, yes.
In a general sense, the I think definitely there's a one thing in common among all those people. First of all, they're all isolated. Secondly, they all face discrimination one way or the other.
Mm.
But some group will accept it and tell you exactly how they face the discrimination. The other one is completely in denial. The blacks in the Middle East are in complete denial, completely.
What trip do you remember the most
Or
from all
everywhere.
of your travels? Yeah, from all of your travels.
Oh God,
What
I
to
love.
African, like, yeah, documenting African communities.
Well, I remember all of them, and I loved all of them. But the most really, really, really that I remember the most is the Indian one. You can't go wrong with that, you know. Oh yeah, I mean those people was fascinating, and they were very welcoming to, especially even today. We talk almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last question that I have actually.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to know, is there any key messages that you would like your audience to take away from your videos?
Well, any few messages that are literally it has to be my Middle Eastern audiences, you know. Those are the guys. Some of them do understand me though. Oh my God, you know, especially the one who lives abroad,
Mm,
the Middle Eastern who live abroad, like who live because there's a lot of Saudis, a lot of Palestinian, a lot of they live in America or in England or somewhere else. A lot of Yemenis. Yemenis are the best, you know, in the Gulf State, they're the best. So they understand my video. But the people who live within their community, they never went anywhere. My message to them, because they call me racist. There, some of them said they've never seen any racist person more than me because I'm only talking to black people. I said to them, my video is not about racial. I talk to everybody, but my focus is the black community, African origin within those societies. It's not being racial. It's about putting a light on society people don't know. That's all it is, you know.
that's a
So
great message.
yeah. So to take it easy, you know, because I got a lot of abuse in Arabic because some of them they forget that I speak Arabic, you know.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, you told me that, yes.
yeah, they write all this nasty stuff in Arabic, and I answer to them also in Arabic, you know. So we've been going at it, you know. So is for me that it doesn't bother me because that's what YouTube business is. If you're in YouTube business, you have to have a thick skin. So
Mhm.
you know, I'm not gonna shy away from the abuse, but you're gonna get it back. That's for sure. If I don't like it, I'm gonna answer to you. I don't care what. If you want to unsubscribe, go ahead. You know. So, but
Yeah.
in my mind, whoever abuse you like that in your own channel, he's not one of your subscribers. Trust me, he's not. Your subscribers do not abuse. They will try to ask you questions. They don't abuse you.
Yeah.
But the abuser
Yeah.
do not subscribe. So by answering back, you're not losing anybody.
Wow, thank you so much. I really
Yeah,
appreciate your time. Is there
yeah.
anything else that you would like to add?
No. That's all. You know. Yeah. Keep watching my channel and subscribe if you can. Leave comment. Anything you hate me, just put it on. I don't care. I'll read it.